Can you tell us about what you brought in today?
Well, it was given to me when my mother passed away. In '96, I inherited, and prior to that, it was originally given by my grandfather to my grandmother in around 1911, 1915. He kept it in his house for all that time. He passed away in '49. My mother inherited, and it hung in her house all that time, and everybody who came ever in admired the fairy tale princess, and everybody always wanted to have the fairy tale princess, and my mother said, no, it's not for sale. So, and we hung to it, and when my mother passed away, it was given to me, and now it's hanging in my house. So when my friend said there is an appraisal, coming up in Austin, I took the first chance to see what it would be worth and what I have inherited that is so beautiful.
Yeah. So have you had it appraised before, or how much did you know about
never.
the piece?
All I knew is that it was given by my grandfather to my grandmother, and that everybody always admired it, wanted to have it, and that's all I really knew.
What did you find out today at the KLRU Appraisal Fair?
Well, they said since they usually have just the small ones, and since this is a more larger one of the biggest ones they ever seen.
Wow.
And anywhere between 15,000 and up.
Wow, very exciting.
No, yeah.
So is knowing now the value of the plate, does that change what you're going to be doing with how you care for it? Or
Well, I care for it. I always cared for it. It's hanging in an area where I see it daily because I'm an artist myself. So, and I paint, and so to me, just the picture by itself is the value of the beauty when you look at it. So it's hanging in my living room. Yeah, of course I will. Now I just actually know how much it's worth.
Yeah.
How much it's
Did
worth.
they have any idea of where it was made, or how they make
It's from Europe.
Okay.
It's definitely European porcelain. They said they never seen anything so beautiful. So
Great. Well, thanks so much for bringing your plate in. Yeah.
Welcome.
We're really happy that you were able to do it, and that you got some great news today.
Yeah. And I will cherish it. I cherish it very much.
All right.
So,
Well, thanks
you.
so much for bringing
Thank
this
you.
in. Michelle's here today at the KLRU Appraisal Fair, and she brought in this wonderful table conversion here. Can you tell us a little bit about the table and just its history?
A little bit. It was left to a great aunt of mine in Newfoundland, which is now a province of Canada, and it came over to Texas with my mom.
Do you know what kind of material this is?
It's tortoise with brass inlay.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And this also converts to a card table, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you had this item appraised before the KLRU Appraisal Fair? Or
We have not.
Okay. Did
No.
you have any idea what its worth was
We
before
had
today?
no idea.
You just liked how it looked, and
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. And what did you find out today then? What did the appraiser tell you?
Well, if it's restored in that it's a little rough around the edges, of course, because it is well traveled, up to about 18,000.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So did they tell you any more of the history of the item?
Just that it's Napoleon era, 19th century. It's a bull piece.
Okay.
So Andre Bull, I guess it was the origin of the piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I've learned a lot about it.
Yeah.
Too.
So are you going to care for this item differently now that you know its true
Absolutely.
value?
Absolutely.
This is the book Gone with the Wind, but it's not the book that we're interested in. It's the letter inside. Can you tell us a little bit about the item you brought into the KLRU Appraisal Fair today?
Yes, this is a letter that Margaret Mitchell wrote in response to a letter from a budding writer whose last name was Crowell, and the woman wrote apparently asking for some advice, and she wrote a very lovely, personal, long letter in which one of the things she said was to Mrs. Crowell had said in her letter that her mother thought that she was very much like Scarlett, and Margaret Mitchell said, well, I don't think you're that much like Scarlett because I made her up.
Well, this was intriguing because when she first came in, I saw the ratty second edition of Gone with the Wind, but I did know she was bringing in a letter And it is rare to see longer Margaret Mitchell letters because after the publication of Gone with the Wind, she had a stroke and her husband had a lot of health problems, so she really had a hard time. And so you rarely get this much content, and especially her talking about her characters and composite characters, and that. So that's what makes this letter really, really wonderful. And this is at the high price end for a Margaret Mitchell letter. They range from $1,500 to $3,000. So this is a $3,000 Margaret Mitchell letter.
Wow.
So,
Does knowing the value of this, is this going to change how you treat the book, or you?
Well, no, it's not going to change how to read the book. I just keep it like in my closet, in a plastic bag. But Adam has suggested that what I need to do is have the letter removed from the book, and have the letter preserved in some way.
Adam, have you seen other letters like this?
I've handled few Margaret Mitchell letters. I think only one or two.
Okay.
So lots of signed Gone with the Wind books. The other intriguing thing is there are a lot of Margaret Mitchell forgeries out there. So to see this in the letter really is a nice provenance. And
Well, thanks so much for bringing the letter in today, Ruth.
Okay, I'm delighted.
And Janet, can you tell us what you brought into the KLRU Appraisal Fair today?
2 Tiffany, I believe, goblets. They came to me from my parents' estate, and I've had them for about 30 years and wondered what, I know that they're Tiffany, but I don't know anything else about them.
Okay. So you haven't had them appraised before?
No, I haven't.
Okay. And Linda, can you tell us a little bit about the items?
Well, they're just stunning, and we're so lucky that you brought them in today. They are Tiffany vases, circa 1900, with the bronze gilt pine cone base, marked Tiffany Studios, which is what you want to see on the bases, and the actual glass globes are marked Louis Comfort Tiffany with the initials of LTC. They're stunning. We don't see them very often. I certainly have never seen a pair in person. And each one is about $2,500 each.
Wow.
They're awesome. You're so lucky.
That's great.
Yes, I am.
Knowing the value, does this change how you're going to handle the items?
Oh, definitely. But I knew not to drink out of them, even though I thought they were goblets. It's good to know that
Yes.
they aren't and that they're vases.
Okay. So could you still use these as vases now, or are they more?
I would, if you were going to use them as vases, you need to change the water every single day. And I would take a little dab of Vaseline and smear it around the inside, so there's no way any of the sediment from the water can attach itself to the glass.
Right.
But if you do that, you're okay. But if you're going to let the water stay, it will cause damage to the vases.
I'm going
eventually.
to keep them in my glass cabinet.
Good girl.
Yes.
Audrey bought at our appraisal fair this gold necklace.
My daughter bought it in either 56 or 57 at a tag sale at her school. And she paid 25 cents for it. And I didn't go with her because I was home with a sick baby, so she brought it home to me and says, "Here, Mommy, I thought you would like this." And I was very pleased, and I've gotten lots of use out of it over the years.
Audrey, how much did I tell you it's worth today?
$5,800 or something.
$5,800. That's a pretty good investment. 25 cents, 1956 or 57, to $5,800 today. Audrey's pretty excited, and that's why we're having this fair today.
Okay. Now that you know the true value, is this going to change how you use the necklace?
No.
She's going to keep on wearing it.
And Bob, why don't you tell us about what you brought in today?
What I brought in today was a picture of Babe Ruth and my father when he was a small child. In 1948, Babe Ruth was no longer playing baseball, but he was a spokesperson for the Ford Motor Company. And my father's uncle worked for Ford. So they had traveled to Montgomery, Alabama to visit some of the dealerships, and he was staying at the Jeff Davis Hotel. And this picture was taken in the hotel room before they did the interview for the newspaper. So what I always thought was interesting about the picture was that it's the same clothes, he's sitting in the same pose, basically sitting in front of the same window with my father. Once the picture was taken, it was a local photographer. They went and had it developed, and Babe Ruth signed it for him, and he got it that day.
Great.
The only twist to it was that he also did sign a baseball for my father, and my dad used it to play baseball with.
So
that's
you
been
don't have
lost.
the baseball?
We don't have the baseball.
So you've had this picture then ever since?
Yes. It's been in our family ever since.
And did you have any idea how much it would be worth?
No, not really. I mean, there's pictures of him when he was playing, but this one was always interesting to me because it was the last year of his life.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know because it really wasn't a sports picture. It's just a picture of him and my father. But that's why we brought it today.
Okay. And so at the KLRU Appraisal Fair, what news did you hear?
It was good news. They said it was worth between $5,000 and $7,500.
Wow, great.
But they said a recent picture that was a little bit larger actually sold for $15,000.
Wow. So is that going to change how you treat the picture? Are you going to?
Yeah, I think we'll probably put it someplace where it won't get knocked over. Yeah.
Okay, Janet, looks like you've been having a great day today. You're back again.
I can't believe it. Yes.
So tell us about this ivory piece that you brought in today.
Well, this ivory piece was from the Sarah Bernhardt estate.
Oh, wow.
And she was the most famous actress of the 19th century. And this was presented to her by a Paul Dorfner.
So how did it come into your possession?
It came from my parents.
Okay. Do you know how they got it from Sarah? Or?
Perhaps.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that story.
And on here it says its period is 1650 to 1700. The one large ivory carving representing the storming of a fortress by the troops of the Holy Empire. What did the appraiser
She said it could be earlier than
Really?
1650.
Wow.
Right, and she wanted to do more research.
Now, have you had this item appraised before? Did you have any idea of its value?
No,
Okay.
so I was very interested to see what she said.
Yeah.
But we're going to look into it further. She said that she's going to
Great.
research it thoroughly, and we'll follow up on that, on the value.
Did
But
she
she was
have any
amazed
idea?
at the age
Oh,
of
really?
the piece.
Yeah, and it's really well done. So yeah, thanks so much for bringing it in.
Thank you very much, too.